Hey guys, what's up? It's Matt Lane, and welcome back to another podcast episode with myself and Jay Buston here, doing our weekly podcast every Wednesday. Make sure to check it out. If you haven't already, there's 2 more you can go back and watch, and there will be plenty more to come, hopefully. We just simply talk about games or systems or anything of the like that is both out and coming out, and just kind of our thoughts on it as gamers ourselves, and just what we look forward to and what our personal thoughts are about it. So without further ado, let's go ahead and start the timer. We got 5 minutes to talk about the main subject here. Today is going to be the Nintendo Switch. Now, me personally, do not crucify me here. I'm not an anti-Nintendo person, but I play much less Nintendo than I do other things. So this will probably be what we call Jay's episode here, to where he picks up a little more of the talking here. So, I mean, Jay, what are some of the huge things to expect from this console for people who, let's just assume they just are living in a cave and haven't seen anything about it?
All right. Well, the Nintendo Switch, I'm looking forward to it. First of all, it sounds like it's going to be a good time. It's a console that you can take with you on the go, and it's basically like what PlayStation tried to do with their Vita, but it's just. I hate to say this, but it's just got that Nintendo polish on it, and it's just going to be a better time. But it's the console is basically a screen that you take with you, and then it has this dock that you can put it in that's connected to your TV if you just want to have, your traditional home console experience, which is, realistically how most people will probably be playing it. The controller for it is called the Joy-Con, because Nintendo just can't call it a freaking controller. It's called the Joy-Con. It does have motion sensor to it, so they're not really letting go of that Wii aspect of it. And one of the launch titles, 1-2 Switch, is basically a bunch of party games that uses that aspect of things. To your Wild West shooter where you draw, and the first one to draw the gun out, whatever wins. Personally, I could care less about that crap. I more just want to play. I want to sit down with a regular controller and play video games. That's kind of my MO. But the ability to take the game console with you is somewhat appealing to me. I do a lot of traveling for, when I'm speaking or whatever, different churches and locations or whatever. And so it's kind of nice for me to be able to take this console with me on the go. The battery life is less than thrilling. Depending on what game you're playing, it will last between 2.5 hours to 6 hours, which is not great. But, there's a charger for it, so you can just bring it and charge it and whatever, and, get a little bit going.
I'm sure they'll have plenty of extra accessories you can buy that'll be like a virtual extended battery kind of thing.
Yeah, they've already kind of made mention of that.
Certainly. I mean, that's the way businesses are. That's how they're gonna get a little extra money there.
Yep.
In terms of storage, what are we looking at here?
You're looking at your typical Nintendo nonsense. The Wii U, when it came out, I think the standard was like 32 gigs of internal storage. Ooh. But the thing about Nintendo is that it doesn't download the game onto the console like the PlayStation and the Xbox, the PS4, the Xbox One does.
Right.
So you don't, because that would hold like 1, maybe 2 games, but it doesn't do that. It reads the game off of the carts. They don't have discs anymore. They went to very 3DS looking carts, which is kind of nice for travel purposes as well, and should also have fast read times for faster loading times.
Probably reduced amounts of damage to the actual game too.
Yeah, that as well. Especially, because if you're carrying around this system, you go back to that whole 90s thing where we all had Walkmans and the music would skip every time you bumped the dang thing.
Hey, I had the anti-skip, bro.
Oh, gee. We all weren't upper middle class, man, but it's very interesting looking. It's, the one thing I really did like about this is when the first trailer came out for it back in November, I think it was, they got away from the Wii U and the Wii things where it was, your American family sitting around playing video games together. It wasn't that. It was, 20-something-year-olds having a life and playing a video game, on his couch. And then his dog comes up to him and, basically says, "Hi, I'm a dog and take me for a walk." So, he takes the dog to the park and he's sitting there now playing his Switch at the park while his dog is running around playing with other dogs, and then he goes back home and puts his Switch back in the dock and picks up right where he left off, you know?
Right.
It's a new thing for gaming, kind of. You know, like I said, Sony kind of tried this, didn't really work out all that well.
Now, one thing I will say, not in a downplay kind of thing, but in like a literal sense, that for me as a not huge Nintendo person, this thing is going to have to prove itself really strong on the graphics end for me to want this type of item, because if the only thing it's really doing is allowing mobility, then it's not going to be something that I would really be interested in at all, because I'm kind of like you, to where most of the time I'll probably play my consoles at home. But if it has like drastically improved graphics, then that's going to help a long way with people like me who are not necessarily on the Nintendo train, so to speak.
Right.
Because it's kind of a hard. Sorry, it's kind of hard to push a console with the only thing you're adding is just mobility.
They did partner with NVIDIA on this one, and they do have a pretty strong graphics card in there. So
nice. So hopefully it'll all work out. Nintendo Switch, be on the lookout for that coming out early
March 3rd.
March 3rd. I'm sure you probably
3rd.
already...
Mine's pre-ordered, dude.
Waiting for the pre-order. All right, so moving on to the games coming out. This one's going to be a little bit down the road. We'll go ahead and start the timer, about 2 minutes and 50 seconds. It's going to be called Days Gone. It's another PS4 exclusive. We got a lot of these lined up for this year, it seems. This is going to be another zombie game. However... I don't know if you have watched the trailer for this, but this does not look like any zombie game that we have played so far.
I have not. I know very little about this game.
Oh boy. So the best way to put it from watching the trailer is it's going to give every single person so much anxiety playing this game, not in a scary aspect, but in the terms of I'm gonna die kind of thing, because essentially I don't know how quick people turn or anything like that, but from the trailer that we saw, we can definitely say they're more like World War Z or Dawn of the Dead zombies. Like, they are sprinting, they're not
yes.
They're not crawling after you. And man, the trailer, which was supposed to kind of reveal the game mechanics to where it's not a Resident Evil to where you shoot the zombies, clear the room, and you're good to go. No, not at all. They said there is no clearing the area. There is, you need to kill whatever you have to if they are in your way, but it is just mobs and mobs of zombies, like in the hundreds to possibly even thousands. So pretty much your job is to continually get away, and as I said, shoot them if you have to. It's not like you're not going to have guns or anything, but pretty much the environment is your tool. As you watch the trailer, he like goes through a train, shuts the door, or goes under the train, and then causes them to have to bust through it, which gives him more time to get away. And then he goes through this kind of warehouse kind of thing to where there's like some conveyor belts that he goes through, but then pushes them down to where they're in the way, to where it slows them down, and he just mows them down because he's trying to cause them to funnel so that he can best kill as many as he possibly can, I guess.
Yeah.
And it's just that the entire trailer is just constantly using things in the environment to help him either get away or to funnel them to where he takes, because clearly there is no killing them all. Like, you're not going to have enough ammo to do it.
The art style for it really reminded me of The Last of Us, but it's a much different game than The Last of Us. But like when I first saw it, I was like, oh, this is The Last of Us, but it's not. Right.
Very much not. But it doesn't come out until December is the expected date so far. So there's still a lot of uncertainty and unknown things about it. But just from the trailer alone, it looks really good graphic wise.
It does. It's certainly one I want to pick up.
Absolutely. Very interesting concept. I do think it's going to cause a lot of people to have heart attacks or anxiety. Because, man, you just watch that trailer, you're like, oh boy. Kind of just freaking out. Well, I'll have to see if we can make you watch it later. That way you can kind of get the effect there. But that's going to be it for Days Gone. Make sure to pick it up or be on the lookout sometime around December of this year. So moving on, Jay's going to talk about the next one here. Let's go ahead and start the timer. This one's going to be called Detroit Become Human. I know nothing about this, so Jay, go ahead with it.
All right, Detroit Become Human was shown off at this past E3, and since then I've not heard much about it, but I haven't exactly been looking for it either. There's no release date for this game that I know of. I could be wrong about that. But basically in this game, you play as one of two androids. You kind of live in a society where androids exist. And from the tone that I kind of heard in the trailer, it almost seems like androids are second-class citizens. They're kind of looked down upon as unequal to humans. But basically, the two playable characters in this are Kara, who basically is an android who escaped the factory where she was made to basically explore her newfound sentience. And Connor, whose job it is basically is to track down androids like Kara and to deal with androids like Kara. He is kind of a detective. And so it's a very decision-making game. It's a third-person action-adventure style thing. And depending on how you play it, the decisions you make, how observant you are to your surroundings and drawing conclusions and investigating different things directly impacts the game. And the two main characters, Kara and Connor, can both die, and the game will continue. So you definitely want to do your groundwork if you get invested in these characters, because you don't want to make a wrong decision. You know, if your character dies, it doesn't just say, "Oh, game over, you messed up, go back and do it over again." No, life goes on, man. Not for that person, but life goes on.
So I wonder if we're going to kind of expect kind of a Heavy Rain kind of aspect
it's
here.
made by Quantic Dream, the same people who did Heavy Rain. So yes, probably a lot will be drawn from Heavy Rain. It's the same team.
That's actually a very good thing, because I don't know if you ever played it, but Heavy Rain was great. Very compelling, very sad, but very unique.
Yeah.
It just had a way about it that would just kind of continue to pull you in, even though you weren't really doing gameplay like any other game you've ever played before. It was very, very interesting, because a lot of it was more like the game was playing itself, but you were just helping the decisions along the way.
Yeah. You know, this one does say it's an action-adventure game, which does tell me there will be some action to it. There certainly is some combat that was kind of shown off in E3, but it definitely seems like most of the game is based around decision-making and exploring and observing things. So it's a bit of a different taste than most, modern games you have coming out. But one that definitely caught my eye, during E3, so many games are being thrown out, and so many games are being thrown out, and so many games are being thrown out. But Detroit, Detroit Become Human was like one of two that I was like, oh, I'm definitely keeping tabs on this one. So I'm looking forward to it. There's no release date yet. It is a PS4 exclusive. So many of those these days.
Man, another one.
Yeah, I know. We talked about the Switch earlier, I guess, so we're not, this isn't like a strictly PS4 episode, but
Right.
Yeah,
Well,
Sony's just nailing it, man.
they just keep putting them out, so we're going to keep on talking about them.
Yeah.
But yeah, like Jay said, Detroit Become Human, be on the lookout for that. Very interesting concept. Really looking forward to that. That's going to be it for today's podcast, guys. Thank you for stopping by and listening. Thanks to Jay Bustin, as always, for being here. Be sure to check out his YouTube or Twitch page over in the little info section below the video. And as always, at the end of every episode, we're going to have a question of the day. Interesting one today, which might be very unique, and I don't know if a whole lot of people really have an answer. But it kind of bringing up Heavy Rain kind of made me think of it, so kind of just bringing it up on the spot here. But what is the saddest game that you have ever played, in terms of not as in sad as in like, oh god, this game sucks, but as in like actual emotion, like it made you sad? Me personally is definitely going to be Heavy Rain, because man, that game hit hard, so hard. So that's without a doubt my answer. What about you, Jay?
I never played Heavy Rain, but I just mine's gonna be a coin toss between To the Moon and That Dragon Cancer.
Oddly enough, I've played neither of those. So
I mean, they're both just very story-driven games. There's not a whole lot of gameplay to it. It's more of a story that you're along the ride for, but both very emotional.
Also on the list of honorable mentions, the intro of Last of Us.
Oh my god!
Just not the whole game, just specifically the intro, and then that's all you really gotta say. Terribly, but yeah, just in the comments, just put for you what was a emotionally sad game, not in a depressing manner, but in like a respectful kind of thing. Like it was very well done in the fact that it expressed,
tugged at your heartstrings a little bit.
yeah, pulled on your emotions. And just put that in the comments below and let us know what you thought about that game and what you would possibly recommend to others. But as always, that's going to be it for this podcast. And as we say every time, we'll see you on the next episode.
Oh, the intro to Firewatch too. Holy cow. Bye.